Hey guys, welcome to this week's governance call. This is the NFTX DAO, and we try to have an active participation in governance. We have a weekly call like this where we just talk about ongoing topics. So if you're new, try and join next week. But yeah, I'm going to pass it up to Chop Chop because Alex is not here today. He's been busy with some in real life matters. And if anyone would like to propose something to talk about, but we're not a lot of guests, go ahead.
Cool. Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah, I'm not muted, right? So the first, for new people on this call, what I always do is I basically sum up what's being covered in the week in review, which is a blog post that goes out on every Monday, which looks back at the previous week. But if you didn't read it, it's a nice refresher of what's been working on, and then we'll head off into what's going to be worked on the next week and also larger topics to discuss. For this week's week in review, we've had a lot of exciting topics, actually. Because the first topic was being the vault creation being unpaused, we've seen a lot of new funds being created by communities of NFTs. So there's a lot of new funds, for example, for Nifty Dudes or Y Fusion being spawned and growing organically, which is cool to see. That's the first thing. There's a listing process, by the way. Right now, if you create a new fund, it doesn't automatically populate on both NFTX.org and the gallery. So there's a listing process that we try to stick to make sure all the information is there when it lists. So please follow that if you're creating a vault. Then the second topic, which is super cool, and congrats again, is the entire consumer product squad joining. So there's 4 or 5 people joining, focusing fully on end user products. Those are all on this call, I believe. So congrats, it's past quorum last week. So now it's just organizational stuff that we have to set up, or I have to set up to make sure they get their payments rolling in, and they'll just continue doing what they do, being awesome, creating awesome products. Right now they're focused on the new front end of NFTX.org. So mainly building a new product for minting, redeeming, and creating new funds, which is heavily needed, of course. Then another topic is the increase in liquidity for Punk Basic. It's been a very long discussion or governance talks over the last, I think, 3-4 governance calls where we discussed on how to improve the efficiencies of floor pools. We landed on using NFTX instead of ETH to bootstrap all the NFTs as liquidity on an AMM, so on SushiSwap. That launched last night while I was asleep. And now it basically means there's 3 or 4 million additional liquidity for the Punk Basic pool, routing through NFTX. So every time someone sells or buys a Punk Basic token, it means we also catch volume fees on the NFTX ETH pair if someone doesn't use NFTX directly to buy or sell. So that's super cool. We'll monitor that and basically use the same ID for all the other funds, which are a lot, I think 20-ish that are still waiting to be launched. So that's going to happen in the next weeks or so. Then the other topic is NFT Hack from ETH Global. We are acting as a sponsor for them, which should give us a lot of visibility towards their audience, so devs. But it also allows us to interact with people that attend in the hackathon. So Alex is mainly helping out there. He did a opening keynote speech, which will be broadcasted to their whole participant group. And then he'll also attend a workshop, or 2 workshops actually, tomorrow and Saturday. So if you have any questions around that, feel free to drop me a DM or speak up during the call, of course. That's most of it of the week in review. Then there's some other topics I think I have on my agenda, which are good to cover here. By the way, if you have any questions or notes, just interrupt me. I'll go through with the indexed and power pool topic. Yesterday, I pushed a proposal to the indexed forum, like governance forum, which basically is a proposal to work together with them on setting up a NFT meta fund, which consists of multiple of our floor funds. I've been working on this proposal for the last 2-ish weeks. Didn't really share anything because they didn't want to leak it, and they also have their like internal things. So I pushed that live yesterday, and there's a lot of like positive reactions on that, which is great to see from their community, because it adds more stickiness to our product if we're also integrated with different protocols. So that's indexed, and I'm kind of doing the same thing with PowerPool through one of their community members launched a proposal to do kind of the same thing, but on a NFT governance token ID, and NFTX is listed as one of those. So that's also good to see. Then the last thing is Punk Basic NFTX as a topic, which I broadly covered just before. Like there's a lot of liquidity right now. I think if you buy one CryptoPunk, like a floor CryptoPunk on Sushi at the moment, it moves the price at 1.5 or 1.6%, which is great because like normal fees on, for instance, OpenSea for wrapped punks is 2.5. So we already beat those secondary markets at the moment. So that's dope.
And in addition to that, there's usually a difference in spread between each punk. So
yeah, true. So those are my topics of things that are in progress. Yeah.
Oh, and just one random thing, just because I know a lot of people on this call probably trade punks. When like a whale comes in to buy or sell NFTX on the NFTX pair, if you've been waiting for a chance to like buy a punk cheap or like sell a punk at a good price, that can create like a better price for you in the punk F pair. So if you're kind of like watching that market, you might be able to do a little bit better by just watching closely on the NFTX pair. The NFTX Punk Basic F trade.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So the next topic that I wanted to talk about was what next D1s should we pursue, and in what order, or should we do all of them at the same time? Should we like launch pools with the NFTX base pair for ones that we own, or also ones that we're just like bootstrapping with one NFT? I just want to get thoughts on this, because like since we changed our strategy, we're not exactly sure what we want to do. We know we want to use NFTX funds for what the DAO treasury has, but what do we want to do with the other ones where it's just like one unit that we use just to bootstrap it quickly?
Mm-hmm. As in like future funds?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if the strategy is changed to use NFTX as the base pair, essentially, I think we should always stick to that. Doesn't really change a lot, I feel. The only thing I would think is like why would we create an AMM pool if it's just for one token?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's useful and not useful. It depends on the price of the token. But yeah, for ones that are very cheap, I agree. There's no purpose.
Yeah. It's mostly because like with those the bigger pairs that we already have large sets of NFT for, we'll use NFTX obviously as a base pair. But let's say there's a new NFT project that launches tomorrow, and we want to like be the first that has a fund and an AMM pool. If we launch with an NFTX pair and just put one in, I don't think the growth potential, like the organic growth potential, is as large as if we did it with ETH, because not everybody owns NFTX.
Exactly. That's kind of like the point that I wanted to talk about. So for things where the DAO has like a lot of inventory, I think it's great. But if we don't, then it's like a much more deeper question. It's not like, oh yeah, definitely NFTX.
I would personally say for such small bootstrapping, like bootstrapping an AMM pool, I would prefer using an ETH fund versus NFTX fund, just because it's like more likely that it grows organically. Because like the other thing would be, if we do this like NFTX fund for just one NFT, there's like little to none liquidity. Then there's still a lot of reasons for others to just do the ETH fund, and then that grows organically. So we waste gas on a pool with one, like a liquidity pool with one.
Yeah, and one way to counteract that is like farming rewards, but I don't think it's useful to give rewards to something that doesn't even grow organically.
No. Agree.
Does anyone else have any thoughts?
I agree with Chop there. I think seeding an ETH pool would make a lot more sense to stimulate organic growth, whereas farming would make more sense with NFTX. But as you say, it's not necessarily worth doing to start.
I sort of had some like slightly different takes on that. I don't think having a pool can like is consistent with like a larger strategy. That's maybe this isn't like the best forum to like debate it. But I think for bootstrapping in V2, we're going to have like a revenue split, and that revenue split is going to be directed at the NFTX paired pool. So for like the entry and exit, like for the deposit and withdrawals for like deposit one NFT or withdraw a random NFT, there'll be a fee for each of those actions. And then if you want a targeted withdrawal, there'll be a much larger fee for a targeted withdrawal, and a portion of that fee will be directed to to LP tokens that are staked, which will encourage people to kind of use the spider type system. Right. And so like kind of like with that incentivization, it both gives a lot of utility to NFTX token, while also kind of letting us bootstrap the liquidity in the other pairs. Like if the person wants to buy with USDC, we could have an NFTX USDC pool that would then service all of our D1 fund NFTX pairs. But then also the very deep liquidity in the NFTXF pool will be like used for all of those trades.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about this, like this V2 mechanism. But then it makes a lot of sense to actually ignore what I just said and prefer NFTX fund. You're right.
Yeah, I mean for V1, it's not really all there yet, and so we sort of like have to just like
a V2 thing.
Yeah, keep the cart together with duct tape. Someone's about to pee on the call.
Nice.
Just a heads up. And then the other part that I don't know, Chop, do you think this would be like a good moment to kind of like talk about some of the small changes to the fee splitting on V2?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So kind of this like living document that we kind of put out just a while back about the fee splitting and like the INO functionality. If the actual issue of the NFT kind of uses the INO functionality or deposits a lot of their whoever's the video on, we're just kind of following you through your house. But with the issuer, they can get a 40% split of all those kind of perpetual residuals if they use NFTX. But I think we can also, if an NFT is not issued on NFTX, I think it makes sense to use that cut of the residual of the fees to bootstrap the liquidity of the pool. And so I thought a good approach would be in the first phase, just like keep it really simple, is sort of like if someone does bootstrap the pool, they can propose that they're getting that fee cut, and then the DAO can like affirm that. And then maybe in a future version of the protocol, and that would sort of be like kind of a trustful, like reputation-based thing. Like, hey, I'm doing this. Can you see that I'm doing this? Okay, I'm like also kind of saying that I'm gonna keep liquidity going, and I'm not just gonna pull my bootstrapped NFTs out immediately after I bootstrap it. And so it's a little bit trustful. And if the bootstrapper kind of reneges on that, the DAO could just revoke their right to the residual. But sort of like have trustful reputation based, the DAO's reputation, also the bootstrapper's reputation. But then in a future version that could be iterated into more of like a bootstrapping period, where that residual is split amongst bootstrappers based on like participation over whatever the bootstrapping time window is, whether the DAO thinks it's best as 3 months or 6 months or something like that. And then after that 6-month bootstrapping period, that split from the fees will kind of be delivered as a residual stream to that bootstrapping group. And that would be kind of a way to encourage people that may buy large chunks of the NFT series to then deposit those chunks into NFTX to help NFTX bootstrap to win those markets.
Yeah.
And I was also thinking that maybe on a case by case basis, if like addresses bootstrap NFTX pools before V2 is launched, the DAO should like consider retroactively rewarding them. Mm-hmm. With that when the V2 is launched. And I don't know if people had opinions on that, but I think that might be a good policy to sort of informally find consensus around now, so that we can start to win more of these pairs. And then when we do have kind of the fee stream, it's just kind of retroactively.
Would you want to retroactively reward them with fees taken as soon as V2 starts? Or
yes. Yeah, so like if you bootstrapped in V1, you would start getting fees when V2 started, right? Like a recognition. Yeah. So I don't know, let's say like hypothetically someone had put in 1,000 Mooncats to bootstrap the NFTX pool, right? And they've been like, hey, I'm creating this vault and I just want to signal that like I'm trying to take on the role of bootstrapper. When we did do V2, the DAO, like maybe we could have like the DAO do like a snapshot vote. They're like, hey, we recognize this address as the bootstrapper of Mooncats. And then we could retroactively like make them the bootstrapper when V2 launches.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone's rolling deep in Mooncats, maybe ping me or Chop or somebody. I'm not rolling deep in Mooncats, but
not yet.
Yeah.
Good.
Probably never, but
okay.
We'll see.
So the reason like I was raising this subject is like what you're talking about Mooncats is so like right now we didn't win that race, and like if we had more structure to do that, I think it would be easier for us to win that race.
Yeah. Well, but does that make sense? What I'm saying, we still can, because let's don't have to speak out loud now, but if anyone here owns 500 or 1,000 Mooncats, and you create an NFTX vault with it, and then you LP it versus NFTX, I would be in support of and you keep them there for 6 months. I would be in support of giving that address 40% of the fees from the NFTX Mooncat vault in perpetuity, which would be like a 1% deposit, 1% withdrawal, and 10% targeted withdrawal fee.
Yeah.
So the right to be the market maker, basically.
I
mean,
well, anyone else could join that pool. So it's more like the person that bootstrapped the liquidity in that pool, because other people like the rest of the fees, because that's not 100% of the fees. A portion of the balance of the fees will also be going to the LPs in V2, not just the bootstrapper, right? But even if the bootstrapper kind of a year later takes all their Mooncats out, they would still be getting the portion of those fees forever.
Yeah, so there's an incentive to create funds essentially as a bootstrapper.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so I think that covers everything about that. I'd like to talk about retroactive grants towards protocol developers or just builders. I think that anyone that built something that's very valuable to the DAO should be eligible to getting a retroactive grant, but they should never expect doing an action with the grant like in their head. People have like differing point of views. People value things differently, so it's important to have like correct structure so you can like value tasks, and the person who like won't take it negatively or positively because you treat everyone in the same way, just based on the work and your parameters that you've set up prior.
Yeah. Is there need input?
Well,
I think it's really hard. Everyone thinks the work they do is really valuable.
Yeah, that's true.
And no one really likes to hear an opinion that what they did wasn't valuable. And I think it creates like inner community tension. I would rather just have people that want to contribute without wanting reward do that. And then if their contributions are highly valued and they are looking for a paid position, then we talk to them about it.
Well, so that's the thing. Not necessarily looking for a paid position. Like it could be just a one-off like build or one-off product.
Yeah. So
yeah, we don't want it.
Can I
Yeah. Sorry. Chop.
Yeah. So basically, this happened with sushi. At like the early days, there was essentially the same thing. Like it's someone wanted to grant a lot of people like retroactive grants. Then kind of there was like this inter-community battle between, well, he deserves it, he doesn't. Like community management doesn't, but dev does, which kind of weird if you're not a dev, but you know community management takes as much effort or time or whatever. So what they moved into was kind of what Scott said, but a bit different, I guess. It's when you feel you are doing valuable stuff enough to be awarded a grant, you just propose it yourself, and then the community can vote on it. Like not on a one-on-one basis, because that will be mayhem, but like you can do every month or so, you collect all the proposals essentially from the people that actually want to contribute, and then you judge it and have someone say, well, this warrants a grant, this doesn't really, and then you just vote on everything in one proposal. Or you just propose yourself into core. That's also a thing. Like that's kind of what Sushi does at the moment, I think. If you want to join core, you can propose yourself into core, but you have to have quite a good reason to be accepted, I guess. So, yeah. As long as it doesn't turn into everybody having to be judged on an individual basis.
Yeah, so that's why I'm raising this point, because like we don't want to create internal tension like in community members and contributors. Like you want people to stay efficient, not be like, oh, I thought I'm valued this way, I'm not. Then just like work worse or just argue. So like you said, that would be a smart structure where you could say, okay, every month we're going to look at what people have done that are not core and see what we think you can apply. But yeah, that still creates something where a centralized like group has to determine the value. But it's better that the DAO is doing that than anyone else.
We talked previously about bounties. Is there sort of more of a targeted, specific approach early on, and then maybe more like grants later down the line? Like for example, like Gene Analytics or subgraphs and that kind of thing. Really useful, but ones where maybe we'd be better off being specific about what's needed rather than opening it up fully.
Yeah, so I mean, I prefer a grant-based system, but yeah, bounties work good because like it's a specific task that you say, okay, we need to get this done, we'll pay this much for it, and then whoever can just pick up that bounty.
Yep.
So yeah, I think we think that bounties are better for small tasks, and grants should be like only done on a like long-term basis and only retroactively. Does anyone have any subjects they would like to talk about? Because we talked about NFTX V2 a lot. So, Javery, you can go ahead.
Thanks for that. So, can we circle back? Did we answer the question around what we should do with the other remaining D1 funds, whether we release them all at once?
No, we didn't answer that question.
No, I think kind of what we're doing right now is just first analyzing a bit how this new NFTX pair functions, because there's also some stuff that's not done on the Sushi front end yet. So exchange.sushi doesn't route, while app.sushi does. So we kind of have to get data first, and then if it functions well, I wouldn't be against launching everything because there's no point in waiting. We've waited long enough, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, that was going to be my thing. It's just we have been waiting for a while, so I think if we just put them all up and then we can seed them out or promote them over time, do a different feature each week in the update or something, but have them all sitting there.
Yeah. So basically, I have a bunch of launch posts already done for a few weeks. Like I don't know if you saw them. Basically the similar format as the CryptoPunks like migration
masks.
one. Yeah. So it's like a lot of info on the project and what's like why is it valuable. So it's very simple to promote them from our point of view. Like all the content's kind of done. It just has to like the pool address and stuff has to be put in, but that's about it. So it should be good to go.
Does that cover your question, Javery?
Yeah, perfect.
All right. I would also wanted to touch like base about the minting platform. Like that's going to be in a long time, but I just want people to know that we're thinking about this kind of platform. Like we see there's a void in the space where artists can't really create or mint something easily as an NFT, where it's like completely respectable on-chain data that you know is going to last for years. So not even just simple IPFS, but things that are more in depth than that. So yeah, that covers everything for this week's governance call.